Hello my beautiful friends on the internet, how are you all doing? Okay, so welcome to another amazing tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at a simple application, so it's not going to be a complex one. So I'll just try to make everything simple, so don't expect the higher level coding and all this stuff. So it's just going to be simple and clean. So we are going to be looking at how we can build a referral system. So you all know about referral. When you refer one person, you get the so amount of money. When you refer the other person, you get so amount of money and all those stuff. Yeah, so that's what we are going to be building for this tutorial. All right, so it's going to be a simple one. It's just going to be clean and sweet. So for that, I think I already have an app where I built something like that. So I'll just show us real quick. So this is how it's going to look like, and you can see your N in here. So I already built it before. So the default currency is actually Naira, so forget the N. So it's just like Naira currency. So I just use that text there to represent the Naira symbol. Then we have your referrer, and you have your referral code. So for this, we'll be using the UID of the user because this referral system is going to be powered by Firebase. So I'll be using the UID of the user because it's unique for every user that signs up on the app. So depending on your own, it might generate a random ID for each user that sign up, which is nice. You can use UUID for generating that, or whichever way you want to go about it, right? And you can also copy the link. We'll be using the Share Plus plugin here, and you can see all your referrers, everybody that you have referred. You see their email address, and you also see the total count of all your referrers. So this is how simple it's going to be, nothing complex and nothing high. So yeah, so let's quickly get into it. So this is the Flutter project I just created. You can see it's simple, nothing is going on here. So it's just you and your project. So all right, so quickly I think I'm just going to create how I want the structure of the project to be like. And for this, I think I'll be using provider, very important for managing the state of our application. So you or she, I think if you don't know how to use provider, I will just drop a link in the description below, and also drop a link to the video I did before. Yeah, I think it's available in my channel. So quickly, since we'll be using provider, I'm just going to create a directory here. So this is just going to have our provider, where we create our provider and every other thing, because we'll be using authentication as well, email authentication for Firebase. I will be putting it inside there, and I'll be using enums to create some enums, and you guys are going to see how I use it later. So I'll just create and leave that one for now. Okay, it's not supposed to be a file, it's supposed to be a directory. So I'll just delete that and put my enums. All right, so quickly I'm going to create another one, which is actually the screens. So this is more like going to have all our screens. Okay, so in case you're wondering how I'm coming about all this structuring, I have a tutorial on that. I'm going to put it in the description below, where I show you guys how I structure my projects when building production applications. All right, so that's pretty much it. And since it's just going to be a simple app, you don't really need to put so many things. You don't need to put model class, utilities class, or widgets, folders, all those stuff. So it's just going to be simple like this. All right, so quickly inside our screens, because we'll be creating authentication pages for this. Because if you go to this app now and try, okay, there's no sign up. Assuming there was sign up, you're supposed to see a sign in page, but not sign up so far. So yeah, but it's all right. We're going to see how that is created. So the first thing I want to do inside this class, I'm going to create an authentication directory. So inside this authentication directory, I'm going to get a login page. Once I have my login page, I'm also going to have a registration page. Yeah, and finally I will have another page inside this auth. It's going to be the ref page. So for every user that signs up, once the sign up is successful, I'm going to take you to another page where you will not enter your referrer, like the person that referred you into the system, right? So yeah, that's very important. You need to put in the person. So we have something like ref. So I will call this one ref page .dat. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I think we need to modify our main .dat right now to actually suit what we want. And also we are going to have a splash screen as well. So inside that splash screen, it's just going to show Flutter logo. And after 3 seconds, we now navigate the user to any other pages. All right. So quickly, we are going to do this void main this other bit first. So for this splash screen, I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to create a new directory here, a new file, sorry, and I will call it splash.dat. So inside here, I'm just going to quickly create, it's going to be a stateful widget though, because it's going to have some it's just going to show the Flutter logo, and this is where we are going to like navigate users to different pages based on if they are authenticated or not. Remember, we are using Firebase, so if users are authenticated, we are going to take them to the home page. If they are not authenticated, we are going to take them to the login screen. So the home page is just going to be the page where we show them the referral and all those stuff. Yeah. So quickly, I'm going to create, just call import here, material. Yep. And logo as the default logo for this. So yeah, no much work needed. All right, I know this is actually slow, but yeah, I'm just trying to like, you know, make everyone understand what is going on. So void, I can create a void method here. So this is just going to be like, if maybe you can just check if users is authenticated, take them to login page. If they are not authenticated, take them to home page, right? Then I will call that method inside the init state. I'm going to call it inside navigate to just check. So for every 3 seconds, this is more like you creating a splash screen. So for every 3 seconds, for every 3 seconds, we are going to navigate, or let's just reduce it to 2. For every 2 seconds, once the user comes into our app for the first time, we are going to do that check. 2 seconds, then navigate the user to any page depending on whether they are logged in or not. So for now, since we have not really worked on the login page, since we have not really added Firebase or done anything authentication, so I'm just going to create a simple flag here, is user. So I will set it to false. So what I'm just going to do now inside here, we are going to change all these stuffs later, okay? But I just want to make it simple, you know, for us to really understand what I'm trying to do. Works. And quickly, I think nothing much needs to go on here. We just need to import the splash screen, and yeah, we can make this one constant to get rid of that warning. And moving on, all right, don't mind that, guys. So we can just do a hot restart to fix that. So this is our splash screen. Nothing much is going on now. So now we are going to quickly create out our login page. So our login page is just going to have, you know, users needs to log in and all this stuff. So we're just going to quickly create it. And for that, we'll be using a package called, it's going to help us build out the test form feed. So we're going to use a package called Flutter test form feed. All right, Flutter test form feed. Yeah, this is the dependency. So it's just going to help us to create some small view. Continue to your account, email, password, and can't remember your password, it will take you to forgot password. And want to join, you can navigate to register screen and login. So instead of us writing our login screen from scratch, I'm just going to, you know, grab this guy. But before we grab it, make sure you add your Flutter test form feed. So we're going to quickly go to our terminal and then write Flutter pub add this guy. Okay, so while it's adding, we are going to quickly copy this page. Yeah, so we'll go back here, and so if you go to your prospect.yml file now, you will see that this guy has been added already. Okay, so we'll go to our login page. Okay, in case you don't know why I'm using this is actually one of my packages. So if you go to the repository, you will see it to take you to my GitHub repository. So this is actually, yeah, one of my packages, which is cool. I just use it whenever I want to quickly build out some test form feed. So you can check it out and yeah, see how it's been done. All right, so quickly we are going to go up here. Some things need to go out. All right, so quickly, this is actually our login page. So we can change this guy now to be login page. Okay, let's change it from login to login page. So quickly, we are going to go to our splash screen. So if user is not authenticated, we can do something like navigation. Yeah. In case you guys are lost and in case you don't understand anything, please put it down in the comment section below. So if the user is authenticated, we are now going to take them to the home screen, but for now, since the home screen is not yet created, I will just comment it, and this guy is false, so that means it's going to take us to a login page. So let's do a hot restart here and see this in action. All right, cool. So continue to your account. We have our UI, we have our login page, and the reason why I love this package is that it has, if you go to your login screen now, you will notice that it has you can actually toggle. So if this guy is password, if it's not password, you can put false, but if it's password, you can put true. So that means it will help you to automatically obscure any text inside here. All right, so I can't type. Let me quickly bring up my keyboard. So in case you're using a Mac system and you're running a simulator, if the keyboard is not coming up, just press Command-Shift-K, so that will bring it up. Yeah, so you can actually press this and you can quickly obscure, and you can also change the color. It's customizable, so go ahead and play with it. All right, so that's pretty much it. And since we can't remember password, I'm just going to quickly remove that. Okay, so you can log in, and so for this you can log in. Okay, you can also don't forget to validate it whenever you're doing whatever you're doing. So I want to log in, so this one will just take us to the sign up page. Okay, so this is just a simple UI which you all can build, right? Yeah, just a simple login page. So for the want to join, I'm going to go to our registration page, and I'll just duplicate this stuff, and this is going to be replaced. So just press Command F or Control F. It's going to bring up this guy, so we can change it to register page, and yeah, select it for all. Cool. And the color, we can, instead of purple, let's change this color to blue. Okay, any other things to change? We can change this one to blue. And I just want to show you guys that this guy can actually be customizable, so we can change the border color as well. Yeah, so that works. And what I'm going to do now is just to route, continue to your account. You can say register your account, and all right, instead of me changing this thing blindly, let me go to the login page. First of all, go to splash screen because I need to copy this route. Okay, and I'll go to the login page, scroll down to where we have I want to join. Yeah, so users will be able to route to the next page if they want to join, and here we can change it to register page. Awesome. Save that up, and we can click on want to join. It's going to take us to a new page where users can now register. You can see the fonts, the colors has changed, and this stuff we need to change it from login now to actually start. And want to join should be, okay, let's say want to log in, because I just want to make everything, you know, just look great. So I'm going to go to login and replace this guy to another route. So we are just going to come over here. So it's just going to route the user now to. Okay guys, so far we have been able to build out our login UI. So you can log in, you can register, you can log in again. Yeah, so depending on what you want to do. Cool, sweet, awesome. So the last bit we need to do now is to create the referral page. So this referral page is just going to be after the users, this is actually the register page. After users register, we are going to take them to the ref page. Once the registration is successful, we are going to take them to the referral page to actually put in the person that referred them, like the code of the person that referred them, and then the system will verify to check if that referral code exists in the user's profile. All right, so quickly I'm going to create the ref page. It's going to be simple, you know, it's a ref page, so you're just going to have one test form field, which is like, you know, the ref code. So I'm going to change this guy now to represent ref code page. All right, so this is going to be for people that don't have any referral already. So what I'm going to do now inside this registration page, once the user clicks on register, we're going to take them into the app, the referral page. Now no validation, you get. So everything is just going to be simple because okay, ref page, I can't remember. Okay, ref code page. Awesome. So yeah, we can click on register. It's going to take you to the ref code, enter ref code, no referral, then continue instead. So once you click on this, it's going to take you, it's not supposed to take me there, so it's going to take me to the home page. But since we have not created any home page, nothing much to really do. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly create a home page here, which is inside the screen. All right, so I think I'm doing things wrongly here. This splash is supposed to be inside screen. Yeah. Okay, so we have our authentication, we have our splash, and we're going to have our home page. Okay, so this home page is just going to be, because I've said that it's going to be a simple app, so nothing much to really do. So let's build our all the stuff, and we can also have a logout button if there should be one. So we can have action icon button. So this is just going to be for users that would like to, you know, log out from the system. Exit to app, that works. All right, pretty much okay now. So we are going to go back to where we have our ref page. So inside this ref page, we are going to say no referral, continue instead. So it's just going to take us to home page. Yeah. Then inside here, we're just going to do the validation to check if the referral code already exists or not. So do a hot restart now. And after 2 seconds, we are going to go to the login page. If a user does not exist, you will go to want to join. That means you want to register. And you register, put in your details after registration. Or if you remember your password, you can go to want to log in and log in. Else, you go to register. Once registration is successful, it takes you to the referral page, and once the ref code has been validated and everything is all right, you can continue. Yeah, after verification, it will automatically navigate you to the login page, yeah, which is the home page, sorry. And if the user does not have any referral code, nobody invited you, so you can just click on continue instead, and it's going to take you to the home page. By default, this button is not supposed to be here, so we are supposed to use navigate the push and remove. Okay, it's not supposed to be here. All right, so we are going to update all that later, but I think it will be best we update it right now. It's going to look like, all right. So quickly, because I said it's going to be just simple and clean, so we are going to have first thing first, we are going to build out, we're going to be using custom screw view for nice looking UI and all that. So going to our home page here, I'm going to create a body. Okay, and we have our custom screw view. No, let's start that with a container so we can add some padding and with the children. So the first thing first, we're going to have a card. So that card is going to have a child of a list view. So this list style is just going to have where we have our earning and the total earning together with the currency, right? So we have our list style, we have a title, and we have our test that has the earnings. Okay, so we're going to see all our earnings so far, and we have a subtitle with a test of, okay, let's say Nigeria. This is actually our currency, and you can have the amount, yeah, that you want to put. Awesome. So save it up. We have our earnings, we have the naira, and we have every other thing. So that works. And quickly we are going to have another thing again. So I just want to make it cool. I'll be adding a divider here, and maybe I can add some thickness to it using the same card and this list style together. So I'll be pasting it below. Okay, I just did something that I don't like. All right, so quickly we have it here. Save it up, and this is going to be our referral code. It's here, which is going to be the trading icon in case users wants to copy their code. So it's going to be so we'll be using clipboard parts to actually copy this stuff. So it's going to copy the referral code. All right, sweet. So moving on now, we can have another bit again, which is more like having the test that tells users, okay, invite your friends to our app and earn 500 naira when they register with your referral code and all that. And also we're going to have a button where they can actually click to share, bringing up the Android default platform dialog to share stuffs. Okay, so we're going to be doing that link. Okay, so this link, whenever users share it, is going to have the user's referral code, and it's also going to have, so we're just going to append the referral code somewhere around here. Okay, we're going to append it somewhere whenever we are sharing it. Okay, well, you guys are going to see how that works. And so quickly, I think I'm just going to create the test for that. Now append the user's referral code. So just depending on how you plan to, like, customize the message, how you want the message to look like. So that all depends on you. Yeah, so I can't really say much. It just depends on how you want it, depending on the app you're building. So once user clicks here, they'll be able to share the link by bringing up the dialog. All right, so moving on now, we can have another thing. I think we can just have this guy to just demarcate. Okay, the ticker is already there, the divider is already there. So quickly, we are going to have another container that will have the role of the user. So I think we can just have something like a container with a child of row. So I don't know, you can remove space between. Okay, sweet. Now the next thing we are going to do is to add a list view. All right, so for this, to just show the users, so I'm just going to use list.generate. And so how many users so far that you have referred? Let's say you have referred 4 users, and so the UI is just going to be minimal. So we're going to have some email address. Okay, all right, sweet. So go ahead and terminate this guy here and save it. So this is how our UI is going to look like. So far everything is looking great, and now it's time for us to actually start the integration. So guys, this is actually how it is. Our home page, it has an earning, it has a referral code list, a card, a list style, it has your invite your friends to our app, and referral. You also have your email address and all this stuff. Okay, so that's pretty much everything we need for the UI. I think we are all set. So the next thing we are going to do now is actually to integrate our project with Firebase. All right, so I'm going to show us the easier way to actually integrate or connect your app with Firebase using Firebase CLI. It's actually an easy way, and for you to actually use CLI, you should be able to, like, you already have Node.js installed, you already have Firebase installed globally and all this stuff. So in case you want to get started with that, so go to your overview, you'll be able to set it up. And I think the first thing you need to do, okay, pop out, just go to your CLI here. First thing you need to do is to install Node.js. So the Flutter Fire CLI is a useful tool which provides commands to help ease the installation process of Flutter Fire across all supported platforms. So there are some things you don't really need to go to the console to do. You can just do it to the CLI, connect it, and just run it. With just a few lines of code, and everything will be cool. So I know this video is getting longer, but yeah, bear with me guys, it's worth the time. So once you actually install Node.js, the next thing you want to do is to run npl install Firebase tools. I already have these Firebase tools installed, so I won't be repeating these processes again. So once you do that, so once that is done, and the next thing you need to do is just maybe run Flutter Firebase login if you are actually inside your project. So this is actually the step we need to take, and it's going to automatically generate Firebase option that for us, generate all these stuff for us, and yeah, we can go ahead and play with it. So before we start, let me show us how we do that. And you add a new project, so we can say ref application. So you need to go to Firebase console and make sure you are signed up already, and make sure you know the email address that you signed up with. Okay, once you do that, you click on continue. Okay, and it's going to take you to this guy, so you can click on continue, and you can select the default account for Firebase. All right, your new project is ready. A few seconds to do some magic, and you can see so far our app has been created. Before now, I believe if you have seen most of my videos, I normally take this route by clicking on, if I'm building for iOS, I click iOS, click Android, and I will set up everything, download the info, the plist file, and all this stuff. That's a long process. That's why the CLI was introduced to actually simplify all these processes for us. So what you can do, instead of doing anything here, go back to your project and make sure maybe you've actually like formatted your, more like getting ready your package names, all this stuff. So you can go to your app and you can go to source main info.this, and this is actually the package name of the app. So you can change it to what you want to use, and it's going to change. So just press Command Shift F, like after highlighting it, Command Shift F, then it's going to like point to everywhere that has it. Then you can change it to whatever you want. Okay, if you are using Windows, you can so Control Shift F, and but since I don't want to change this guy, I want to leave it the way it is. No problems. We can go on. So the first thing I want to do first, I don't know which account that I am logged in with. So the first thing you want to do, if Firebase is installed, just run Firebase logout to log out from every user that you already have. So this is actually the email address that was authenticated before now. So what I'll need to do is just to run Firebase login, and once it shows you that, you can just click Y, which is yes, and hit enter. So it's going to, so once you are signed in, you select the email address you want to authenticate with and click on allow, and it's going to show you this message. You can go ahead and close it and then go back to your project. Okay, you can see everything is successfully logged in and you are good to go. So now is when you can now follow this next step, which they said here, by running Firebase configure. So we just come here and run Flutter fire configure. Okay, run command. Okay, so it's going to like do some magic, fetching available Firebase project, and once it fetches, it's going to tell you, okay, select the project you want to initialize Firebase on. So for this, since we have our ref application, I will just hit enter, and it can tell you Android, web, it doesn't matter, so just click anyone. It's going to do the magic for you. It's going to install it, register all of them for you. So give it some few seconds for it to actually complete. Alright, so once this is done, just hit yes, and yeah, everything is ready now to work with. You can see your UID, Android, iOS, macOS, and everything. So now you can head over to your project, your Firebase project, and maybe just refresh. You can see that this UI is going to change and everything will be set for you. So you can see your Android has been registered, your iOS has been registered, your web also has been registered. So all those things are already in place for you. So you don't need to do much things. So the next thing you need to do now is actually to start your integration. So for this project, we'll be using some few dependency. And so for you to use Firebase, you need to make sure you have Firebase core installed. So it helps us like, provide all of Firebase stuff for us. Because if you look at this stuff that was automatically generated for us by the package, by that command we ran, you can see that it's actually referring to Firebase core and it does not exist. So we need to actually fix that by importing it into our pub.dev. And if you go down, you can see it actually created the info.services.json file for us automatically. So we don't need to do all this stuff by downloading and putting them manually. Going also to your iOS folder, you can see it actually created Firebase app ID file JSON. You also created Google service info plist file for us as well. So there are some things you don't really need to do manually with the help of the CLI. And I think that's pretty much all. So yeah, so quickly let's go and add the Firebase core. So this is us now adding the dependency, Flutter pub add Firebase core. So just give it some few seconds to actually install, and you see this error will be gone, right? So once it's installed, you can see the error has been gone because now the Firebase core is actually available for us to use. So the next thing I'm going to add now is actually Firebase auth. It will help us for doing authentication. So for this, I will not be going to be using I'm not going to be using Google Auth. I'm going to use email and password based on how our UI looks. And once you add that, we are going to use a Cloud Firestore because all these details of the users need to be stored somewhere, right? So we'll be using Cloud Firestore for that. It's still part of Firebase services. So we're just going to have Cloud Firestore provider just to manage our state and all that. So we just add your provider package. Okay. And I think another thing again we need to do based on sharing of files, it's more like using the share plus package. And yeah, so this share plus will help us, to like provide that custom platform dialog for us in case we want to share files across devices. So you can just go to your project and quickly add the share plus package. Okay, so it's just simple to use. You just have to call share.share, call your test, and it goes through. All right, so for us to actually proceed now by implementing all of this, I think the first thing we need to do is to queue this app, and then we run it again because we just added some few plugins, right? So we need to we run it for everything to work out fine. So after then we'll start creating project logic and everything. So while this is running, I think we need to do some few setup inside Firebase console because we'll be using authentication. So we need to enable our signing method that we'll be using. So get started here. And since we'll be using email and password, click on it, enable it, and click on save. And it has been enabled. So far, if you go to users, no users are available. And the next thing we are going to be using is Firebase database, yeah, and which is Cloud Firestore. So you can create your database, and click on next, continue. Give it some few seconds to actually set up security rules. So quickly, I think we're just going to touch the security rules a little bit based on they're actually in the test environment. So change this guy to true, to allow authenticated users to actually carry out their activities. All right, so that once that is done, you can see our data is actually null. Nothing is available. No users are available. So quickly, okay, this guy is still installing, so let's just give it some few seconds to install. And once you finish installing, I think we're just going to create our provider to handle login and sign up of users. Okay, so the app is running right now. So what we are going to do now is to create the logic, like our provider, to actually handle all of these things. So we need to, first of all, let's work on the login, to authenticate users, to log in users into the system. So to do that, this enums that I created, I'm going to create a simple state file to actually handle states, like if there's an error, if the state is loading, if the state was successful, or if it's idle. Okay, so I'm going to quickly create an enum class. So enum. Okay, so we're going to have few things that needs to be inside that our enum class. So I think I'm just going to change it to maybe view state, uppercase, and we are going to have the first one, which is going to be idle, and okay, prefer using lowercase. It doesn't really matter, so I want to use uppercase, so I will just ignore it for this file. So we have idle, we have busy, so that means when the state is loading. We also have error, and when there's an error, and we have success. Okay, sweet. So this is actually our enum classes. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go to our provider and create the first instance. This is going to be the auth provider. So this auth provider is going to have creating users profile, and also is going to have auth provider, that. It's going to have creating of users profile and also signing user and creating a new user as well. So I'm going to have a class called auth provider that extends change notifier, and inside here we're going to have, first of all, the view state is going to be a state that is idle because nothing is actually happening, okay, initially. And I'm going to have a string that will just show us the message, whatever the error message is or success message is. So we just have it there. All right. So finally, we're going to have a simple Firebase auth instance. Okay. Sweet. And lastly, I think we're just going to have a method that will handle signing user in. So the first thing we're going to have is the email. And looking at our UI, you can see it has email and password. So we're going to have email and password, and it's going to be an asynchronous one. So this works. And for us to actually use this auth provider, we are going to register it inside our Material app. Because we are using two providers, which is one is going to handle authentication and another one is going to be for ref provider, to actually save users ref provider.dat. That means we are going to be creating two, we are going to be using a multi-provider inside our main.dat. So inside here, just wrap this guy with a, which one works? Okay, let's use a widget here, and I'll call this multi-provider. So multi-provider allows us to use multiple providers inside a multiple change notifier, and we can use this guy, create, and just return our provider and make sure you import it. Awesome. So we just save it. I think the app will just reload, and so now it has been saved. Now we won't have any errors whenever we want to use it. Okay, so moving on now, the next thing we are going to do is to have inside our auth provider, I'm going to quickly create a method. So once we call this login user, once we trigger this method, we are going to set the default state to be view state dot busy. Okay, then you can call notify listener there. All right, that is done. So the next thing we are going to do now is to wrap this guy inside try and catch, and we're going to handle some error because we are using Firebase, so we can use Firebase exception, and we can just catch some errors here. Okay, so it's going to go straight to the message private. So we have message equals to e dot whatever it is. Okay, so that works, and convert it to a string to avoid any error, and then we can call our state to be state.error, right? View state.error, and you can call notify listener. Then you can check for other methods too. If you want to check for timeout exception, let's say if the user's network is slow and it's loading, you can use timeout exception, or you can stick with this, or you can use socket exception to actually handle a state whereby the user does not have internet connection and they are trying to make any request. Okay, but for any error that is like outside your scope, so you can just use this guy. Okay, you can print it out for some reason, just print it out, error dot, but if you want to be like me, so just use your message equal to e. You can format the message properly to actually suit what you want, and then we can have our state to be view state.error and call notify listener. Awesome. So now we are going to do the main magic, which is inside here by checking if the user is actually a real user or not. So we can use our await here and call firebase.create login user. I think that will be sign in with email and password. Okay, you will pass the email of the user and also the password of the user. So once everything works fine, we can just set the message to be login success, and we can set the view state sources, and you can call notify listener. This is actually clean and more like a simple code. Yeah. So once the user is, this code will just handle authentication, like logging a user in. And we have another one to register a user. So we can call this one register user, and we register user using email and password, and we can call this register sources. And once the registration of a new user is actually successful, what we are just going to do is, like, to create the user's profile. So we are going to create that user's profile here. Create user profile using their email, right? And we can just have a method called create user profile, like so, which we are just going to call. And so just create a method like that. And this guy is not going to be signing with email. It's going to be create user with email and password. Okay, and save that. And quickly we are going to create a create user profile. So for us to create this user profile, we are going to, like, first of all create a collection reference. Like, it's going to reference the user's collection. Okay, so it's going to be inside. It's going to be that of. So let's go up here. So inside here, I'm going to be creating a collection reference, and I will call this ref, more like profile ref, yeah, for short. And since we'll be using Firestore, we'll be using Firebase Firestore dot instance dot collection, and I will call this one users. Okay, so quickly, inside users, inside this function now, which we are going to call when the user is registered, I'm going to quickly create. It's just going to be a simple one where I will just create the payload of what we need to accept, because looking at our UI, you can see we have a referral code, we have email of the user, we have we have referrals, like the total users that that particular user have referred, and we also have the referral earning. So initially it's going to be 0 for new users, right? So I'm going to create a body and put it this way. Okay. Alright, so we're going to have a body, and we have our ref code. So your ref code, we're just going to be your auth user, okay, dot current user. It's just going to be your UID, okay, the UID of the user, and you have your email. So you can still get the email from current user dot email as well. And we also have our date created. So the date that the user was created, we can just use our date time dot now. And we can have our referrals. Okay, our referrals. Okay, so the total number of people that those users have referred, which is going to be a string, and that string is just going to have their email address only. Then we can have the ref earning. Third is going to be 0. All right, so once we have all that, we are going to use the reference that we created, which is the profile ref dot add the body, which is the payload, and that works. And it's going to, so how the flow works is, once the user clicks on register, we're going to register the user. Once we register the user, we're going to create a user profile for the user, and once that is created, yeah, we can navigate the user to home page, or no, we are going to navigate the user to ref page, where they can now carry out their ref all those stuffs. Then this one is going to be the login user. Once the user is authenticated, we're going to log the user in and, yeah, perform all those stuffs. So for the ref provider, I think we're just going to do some few things, like to handle some few checks and all those stuff. So for that bit, what we are going to do, we are going to be using, we are going to first of all fetch inside the user's profile collection. So I need to have that reference already, and because that is more like where we are going to be saving the user's data and all those stuff, you get. So I'm going to have that collection already, and so I will take it and go to our ref page. So inside here, okay, so inside here I'm going to create a class called ref provider, and just extend change notifier. So inside here, the same thing I did for the login page, I'm going to create a view state, and I'll call this state, and it's going to be idled for the first time, which is the initial state. idle, and I'm going to create a string of message. So we use this message to check for any error and also if the user ID exists or not. Okay, so once we do that, we're also going to create the users collection, which is where we are going to be checking, comparing that UID, that ref code, to check if it actually exists inside the collection or not. Then once we do that, I think we also need to create a Firebase auth instance. Okay, and finally I will just create a list of document snapshot. I will just keep track of the users list. So that will just going to be like a list, to just get the users list, and yeah, we can now do things with it, but that more like saving the users. I don't really think if it's really necessary to create that, but let's see. Let me just remove it. If there's any use case like that, then we can actually use it. Okay, so set referrals. So whenever we click on that referral page, that screen that I actually created before, we are just going to call this method, and it's going to take the ref code that the user is going to put in, and then we're going to check if it actually exists or not. So for the first bit, we are going to set the view state to busy, which is loading. Just call your notify listener, and then finally we're going to create a value that will just like check for where the ref code equals the ref code dot this. So I'm just going to check if because we need to check if this ref code that the user is entering actually exists inside the user's profile, because that's where we are actually checking and comparing all these stuffs. Okay, so I'll just call the profile, which is this profile ref that I created here. So I'll just check if profile ref dot where ref code, you need to make sure that the stuff, the key, or what is it called, the payload, like what you're checking, is actually inside. Because if you check our auth provider, you will see that when creating a user's profile, this was the key that I used, ref code. So you need to make sure that it actually matches what you're actually checking to avoid any form of error. Okay, so and this guy, I think I'll just add some few check here. Okay, just for 2 seconds to avoid any form of error, to just still keep that loading state while it's doing its thing. Okay, so I think that will really help, in terms of checking for, so errors will not be prone like that. Okay, so we just need to like check for that, just do some few things to put some delay there, like 3 seconds delay while we log the user in, because Firebase sometimes happens so fast, and with that we cannot really create this user and things might actually occur. So yeah, you can just try it out to see if you experience something like that. So for the ref now, I think I'll just check where ref code, and I think I'll just check if it equals what we have here. Okay, is equal to the ref code that we already have, that which we are taking from the parameter, right? So we can just say ref code and get. So you're just going to get any response from there. So we're just going to check here now if the value, the docs, so we are checking inside all the list inside. So if it's empty, that means no user exists, ref code is not available. So that means the user is trying to put an invalid referral ID that does not exist in the system. So we can just send a message back to the user by saying ref code is not available. So it does not exist at all. So yeah, you can't do anything. So we can set this view state to view state.error and call notify listener here. And once we do that, so if it exists, if it's not empty, so what we can do is just to get, that means it exists, right? So we can just say it exists, and inside here we can do something like getting the doc part. by saying value.doc. So we are going to get the first index because this is a profile, it's not a list of profiles. So we're going to get the first index that matches what we want. Okay, so once we get our first index, the next thing I'm going to do is to get the list of referrals, okay, from that user's data. Okay, so I'm going to get the list of referrals, okay, and I'll be getting it from data dot get referrals. So you need to make sure that the referrals you're trying to get matches this name. Okay, so what you're actually saving it as, so you will not so you will avoid errors like documents does not exist or something like that. Get referrals, that's if there's any referral. So what is happening here now is once the user exists, once the ref code exists, we are going to get the user's profile with that ref code, get the referrals, and then we add this particular user that is trying to sign up or create an account with that user's ref code. We are going to add this user's details as a list of referrals that the other users have referred already. Okay, so that's just what we are trying to do now. So you need to get the details, the referral details from there. Then once I get it, I'm just going to add it. So I'm going to add this particular user that is trying to log in, with that ref code. I'm going to add the user's email, okay, the user's details, so as a list of referral. Okay, so that works. I've added it now. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to update the referral earning. So the person that they use this referral code to sign up, the person that owns the referral code, I'm going to update their referral earning and referrals as well. So which is what I've already done here. I've updated the referrals, so I'm going to update the earnings as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go do something like, I'm going to get the body, I'm going to create a body because I need to update that particular profile. So I'm going to get a body, like I'm going to create a payload, sorry, and we have the referral earning and the referrals. So the first one is actually going to be the referrals. Once we have added that, we are going to set it back to this guy, and the other one is going to be the referral earning. So this is the referral earning. So whatever the referral earning is, so let's say the referral earning happens to be something like, we're going to get the referral earning first. Okay, so if it's 50 or whatever, we can now multiply it by 500. Remember I told you that for every user that you refer, you're getting 5. So once we have the sum of that, the referral earning, add it to 500. So we'll now save it, like updating the user's profile again using the doc part, which is the doc ID that we got from this value data and all this stuff. So I'm going to quickly do await, okay, profile ref dot doc. So we're going to have the data dot id, that is the ID of that particular user, dot update, then we put in the body that we want to update. And once everything is successful, we're just going to set message ref, okay, let's say ref success. That means the ref exists. After doing all those logic, then we'll now have view state. So once this view state is successful, we can now take the user to the home page. That works, and so far I think we are cool. And this ref provider, I think we need to now register it inside our main.dat. Inside here, we are just going to duplicate this guy and add our ref provider. Okay. All right, this works. So quickly, I think this is pretty much everything we need to do now, and I'm going to go to our where are we going to? Okay, so we have created our auth provider to log in user and also register new users. We have also created a ref provider, okay, to actually check if referral exists or not and throw error accordingly. So you can actually wrap this guy with try and catch to actually catch any exception. Yeah, that works, but yeah, you can do that for some cool stuff. So we can wrap this guy with try and catch to do our stuff. So I think that will really help us, like let's check for some exception. Okay, like so. Okay, I don't know what I'm typing right now. So message equal to e dot message. All right, so that should be like to string. No. Okay, so we have our state, and we'll call this view state dot error, and call notify this now. All right, so this works. You can add other try and catch exception, whatever you want to catch, timeout exception, you want to catch socket exception or whatever. So cool. Now the first thing we're going to do now is to actually log in user. So I'm going to get that error from the user. So what we're going to do now is to wrap this guy. So we have our single child script view. I think I'm just going to wrap this guy with a consumer widget. Okay, consumer widget, and inside here we're going to put our auth provider based on that's what we want to consume. And remove this, is not needed. And we can change this guy to model and put your child. Okay, so we can quickly do some check. Inherited provider, what does that mean? Okay, I do not understand. Is this something I did wrong? Consumer auth provider is telling me inherited provider. Okay, all right, so now that we have this guy, let's do some check inside our splash screen first before we move on. So I think I'm just going to do something here before we move on. First, let's create a Firebase auth to check if a user is authenticated or not. Okay, Firebase auth dot instance. Okay, so we don't need this boolean flag anymore. So what we are just going to check here is to check if auth.current user is equal to null. That's if it's not null. If current user is not null, then we can take user directly to the home page. Then if it's null, we can take user to login page. So this is going to be the home page. All right, and I think we missed out on one thing again, which is more like inside our auth provider. I think it's very necessary we create a method like to sign out users, but that's pretty much okay. Let's see how we can continue with this guy first. Okay, all right, so call no Firebase app default has been created. Okay, so we have not initialized Firebase. For us to actually use Firebase, we need to initialize Firebase first. Okay, so what we can do is to go inside our main.dat. Inside here, I'm going to quickly initialize Firebase by calling Flutter Firebase.initialize app, and also I need to like call our widget binding to like ensure initialization is complete. So we just have a widget Flutter binding dot ensure initialization, and make sure you make this guy asynchronous. Okay, so we'll come over here, await, we'll call Firebase dot initialize app. Okay, sweet. All right, so we can actually do a hot restart here, and I think yeah, everything is pretty much okay. So let's do a hot restart, and we'll go back now to our login page. So inside here we have our auth provider, and inside here we're going to do some check. So if the model.state, because we have state, is equal to view state.bz, so we can just show a simple center widget that has a child of circular. So it depends on how you want to show your state, whatever your state is. Okay, what is wrong? If view state is equal to busy, return this guy, else return this other one. Okay, so that's the error, which is pretty much okay. So if view state, but you know currently the view state is idle, so let's see what happens if it's idle. It's going to show that loading state, you can see. Cool. So but that's not what we want. We only want to show it when it's actually busy. Okay, awesome. So moving on now, we have our button, our email, password. So you can actually validate for your email and password by saying first thing first, let's create a widget class, or like let's call it utility, something like that. Let's create a utils class, and inside here I'm going to create a new directory, a new class, I will call it message.dat. So inside here I'm just going to call void message. Awesome. So that's pretty much it. No need to show error dialog or whatever. Let it just have just one like that. Okay, so we can go back now. So we can just validate our email address. So if the email controller.test.is empty, or let's say our password.test.is empty, so we can quickly show the message, okay, for users. You can just show message that takes in the context and show all fits. Yeah, sweet. So that works for us. Okay, so if everything checks out, so we can now call the X statement. So inside here we can now do anything we want to do. So since we can make this guy asynchronous, because now since everything checks out, we can call our await, call model dot this is login page, right? Login user. Now we can pass our email controller dot test, so you can trim it to remove every white spaces. Then our password as well, we can use password controller dot test dot trim as well to remove any white spaces. So inside here now we can wait for the callback, and we can check if our model dot the state is equal to view state dot success. So if everything checks out well for login user, we can navigate the user. So we can use navigator and push removed. I think I have that stuff inside ref page. Yeah, this guy. So we can just take the user inside our app to, yeah. So if view state is equal to success, we can navigate users to the home page. Else, if there's any error, we can just show our message with our context, and then we can show our model.message. Awesome. So this checks out well. Now let's try to validate. Clicking login, you can see all fields are required. So that means we need to like enter our email address, enter our password 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I think this will throw error by Firebase because this email address is not properly formatted. So login, do some check. The email address is badly formatted. You can see how simple and neat this whole logic is. So we can now change this guy to a valid email address. Let's say destiny @gmail.com. This is also going to throw an error because so far no users actually exist inside our app. Okay, so let's see. The user is there is no user record corresponding to this identifier. The user may not, maybe the user may have deleted the message and all that. The user may have been deleted, so no user exists. So for this case, we are going to go and log in a new user. So for logging in a new user, we are still going to take the same process we took for this guy. So for that, I'm just going to, copy the same thing. Yeah, no need to reinvent the wheel and all those stuff. So I'm just going to copy the same thing, okay, for registering a new user. So go to register page. I'm going to wrap this guy with a consumer widget. Since it's still the same stuff, the same logic, I'm going to grab these guys. It's still the same logic, guys, so nothing changes. I'm going to put it like so. Import this guy, import this guy as well, and also import the view state as well. Okay, so once that is done, we can go over to our login as well. So inside here, we can grab this guy, okay, to just validate if the user exists or not. So this is our register. So these guys take us to the ref page. Okay, so with this we are not going to go inside. It's going to take us into ref page. Okay, ref code page. Okay, so we can remove this guy, and that works. Okay, so now see what happens when we try to register. It will validate all fields are required, and we can register a new user using arrow. I just want to make it simple, arrow.arrow.com, and the password is just going to be 1 to 9, 1 to 6. Done. Once you click on register, it's going to take us, once everything checks, it's going to take us. There is no user corresponding to this identifier. Okay, I need to change this guy to register user. Okay, I was using the same one I used for login. So register, give it a few seconds, you can see everything checks and it starts taking us to the ref page. So now if we go to our app, just refresh the users, you can see we have the new user that has been created with the user ID. Okay, and for this guy, if we go to our Firebase Firestore, you will see that a new users collection has been created. You can see the date created, you can see the email address, the ref code of the user, the ref earning, and the referrals, which is an empty string, so it's empty, and the ref earnings is actually 0. Okay, so quickly let's go and work. Let's do this ref code as well. So I will do the same thing too that I did here by doing this guy. Okay, let's go to the ref page. Don't worry, this code is actually going to be available on GitHub for us to consume. So I'm going to put this guy here. So this guy is not going to be a ref provider. This is going to be a ref provider, sorry. Okay, and this guy, we're just going to import it. And if view state is equal to busy, you do your stuff. I think something is wrong somewhere. Scaffold body, blah blah blah. I'm just wondering what we are doing wrong. Okay, wrong thing I did there. All right, so moving on now. Since we have done this guy, I think we are still going to do the same thing again that we did for the registration as well, by coming down here and doing that check. Okay, so but for this now, we are not going to be validating for email and password. We are going to be validating for the ref code. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to check if ref controller.test is actually equals to empty, so we can just check, throw that error to the user. Okay, and yeah, model dot, this is not going to be this guy again, it's going to be set referrals. Okay, and this is going to be the ref controller. All right, so moving on. So once everything checks out to be success, we can now navigate the user to the home page where we can now do other logics. Okay. All right, sweet one. Show message, blah blah blah, and all this. Okay, so we can save it now. If we try to log in, you can see all fields are required. So if we try to log in with a referral code that does not exist inside the platform, is going to tell us referral code is not available. So since this is only one user we have and no referral code so far, I will just continue. I will just click on continue instead, and it's going to take us to the home page. So inside the home page now, what we can do is to create a new, we need to, like, fetch the user's details and every other thing. So for these guys to work, I'm going to use what is it called? I'm going to be using a feature builder. Okay, so we're going to go to our home page, homepage.dat. So inside here, first thing first, I'm just going to create our users profile collection, the profile ref. Okay, where we can get our users and all that. So this particular user, we need to get the user and then display his or her details. Okay, so what we can do now is to go to, because one thing I think I made a mistake, but I'll be using ref code to actually identify that. Normally when registering a user, I'm supposed to store the user ID as well, but since it's the same thing as the ref code, we just use the ref code to check for the user profile to display. Okay, so I want to display all the details of this particular user. Okay, for every user that logs in, I want to actually display their details. All right, so that's what I'm going to be doing here now. So what I'm going to do quickly is to go over, since I have the home page, I've created this collection. Okay, so inside my body, I'm going to wrap this guy with a future builder. So the future builder actually returns a query snapshot. Okay, I think you all should know that by now. And instead of using streams, I'm going to be using future, and the future is going to have the profile ref dot where. So I'll be using ref code to actually query that, since there is no user ID. So where ref code is equal to the user's instance, so I'll be using the Firebase auth dot instance, which is the current user dot uid. Okay, then I can call dot get. Okay, so I just want to get all the users profile in there. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now, if you notice, if I restart this guy, it's going to come to this page because that user already exists, you get. But something will be wrong, let's go to our ref page. So I need to, because it's going to show that back arrow. So let me go back to my splash. Inside here, if navigator.home page, I don't want users to actually go back to the other pages, so we can change this, guys. This is going to be the login page. So if I do a hot restart, it's going to come back to this page because the user has been authenticated already. All right, so quickly let's wrap up on this bit. So the next thing I want to do now is just to check if actually if there is any loading state. Let's say if snapshot does not exist, if snapshot does not have any data, if snapshot dot has data. So I just want to do like return some circular progress indicator that, to just show a loading state. Like so. Then if it exists, we can now return any other we want to return. So the first thing I want to do now is to actually get the data from the user's profile by calling snapshot.data .docs, and then get the first index. Then I will get the total earning of the user. So let me get the total earning, data.get, and make sure the earning actually correspond with what you used to save it here. Okay, which is actually ref earning. Okay, make sure it corresponds. Then we come back here, save it. Remember, these are actually an integer, okay, because that's how we saved it as. So we have a list of refs, which is the referrals. Okay, that is referrals list. So we can have something like data.get. Make sure what you are trying to query to is actually matching what you saved it as. So let's go to our auth provider. You can see referrals, and we can save it here. All right, so the next one we are going to have now is actually to get the ref code of the user. So I'm just going to have data.get ref code, like so. Okay, awesome, sweet. Now we can move. So the next thing we need to do now is to display the user's earning. Initially now it's actually 0, so you should see 0 once we save. Awesome. And the referral code, we are just going to display the referral code here. You can see that's the referral code. You can copy the referral code if you want. I think for this we'll be using clipboard. I can't remember how this is done. Clipboard data clipboard, something like clipboard data. Then we have the test, I think. Then we can have the ref code. Yeah, then we can have something like clipboard dot, okay, set the data. Yeah, we can now pass the data, and then once we set that, we can now show our message to like have this message like, okay, ref code copied. Okay, so this is actually how you copy text in Flutter. Okay, awesome. So moving on now, we have invite your friends, blah blah blah, to earn 500 naira, this, that, and that. Okay, so once you do that, then we have our share link. Hey, use this app to do stuff and earn 500 naira after using my ref code. So you can now append your ref code here by, let's say you put this guy, so you to now have your ref code. You can now share it to users. Okay, so that works. Then quickly you can have a share. Remember we added share plus, right? So we can have share.share, and you can have the share link. Awesome. So this all works. If you click on this guy now, you can see that dialog is going to show after everything has been copied. So if you paste it, let's paste it, you will see that the referral code will be pasted. Yeah, sweet. And if we click on share, it's going to bring that pop-up. Hey, use this app to do stuff and earn 500 naira after using my ref code. Then you can share it to any user you want and all this stuff. Sweet. So the next one is to show the referrals, the referral count. So we can just call referral list.length. Okay, I think that's not the correct spelling I used. Okay, referrals list. We're going to go down here and then just replace this guy. It's going to be 0 initially. Awesome. So we can wrap this guy with, let's say, padding to just give it some nice feel. Remove this container, it's not necessary. Okay, yeah. So far referral earnings are actually 0. So now we can actually display the total number of referrals here by saying referral list.length. Then here we can have our data. Let's say final data equal to referral list.index. Okay, so this guy can just maybe have our index as its child. Or you can just have index plus 1, but that is not going to work that way, so we need to like wrap it inside a string. Okay, so far referral is actually 0, so we can just do some check. If referral is equal to empty, you show no referrals found, else referral is available. You understand? Yeah, just stuffs like that. So depending on how you want to use your stuff, so I think I can just do something like this. Let's say ref list dot is empty. I can return this guy. Let's say no referrals, else then we can show this other guy. So it can be more like a I do not know, but it can be a list of rejects. I don't know, but that won't work. So we can just do it like this. We can just do it like this. Okay, if ref link, if referral dot is empty, okay, we can just show this guy. Sweet, no referrals. Awesome. So that works, and depending on how you're using your UI, you can actually format it. So if there's referrals, it's going to show up. So far this is how you actually do it. This email address needs to be changed to actually represent the data. That is, if there is any users data available. Okay, so this works. And for logout, I think I can just quickly create a button for that. And inside here, maybe I think I'll move this guy above. Okay, let me move this guy. I want to create an auth instance here. Okay, so I can have something like this for logout, auth dot sign out. Okay, we can just call dot then. So once everything checks, we can just take the user back to login page. Navigator dot push and remove until. Okay, not push named. All right, I will just grab that inside my login page, my splash screen page. So once you sign out, we are just going to, take the user directly to the login page for them to re-authenticate again. Sweet. All right, so now we can click on logout and users will be logged out. So if you try to restart the app, it's going to take users to the login page. All right, so quickly, I think I need to test this guy now with two apps entirely. So I'm going to bring up another simulator here to actually test it, and so we can see how it works. So for this, I'm going to build the app on this very simulator that I'm running right now, which is my Pro. Okay, so I'm going to build it up. All right, so give it a few seconds. So while this is running, okay, so I'm just going to, remember we have only one user here. So I'm going to create another user account. Okay, let's test if login actually works. So we can use the user's details, which is actually arrow@arrow.com. So far we are actually done with the tutorial, and I just want to test to know that everything works fine. I think our password was 1 to 5, right? Okay, 1 to 6. All right, let's log in, and it's going to take us to the home page. Yeah, you can see the referral earning, everything shows up perfectly. Awesome. So with this guy now, and I think the next thing we need to do is more like having, there should be a button to refresh this page, refresh, pull down to refresh kind of thing to it's building now. I'm going to wrap this guy with a refresh indicator. On refresh, and it's going to be let's say return feature that delayed constant 2 seconds, or let's say 3 seconds kind of thing. Just call set state though. Yeah, so we just refresh. I don't see any reason why we should be using set state, but yeah, let's just use set state to refresh this UI, to update the UI to call feature, because we are using feature builder here. We are not using any state management inside this particular widget. So assuming all this our logic was actually inside a particular widget, then we can go with that. But for this, we can just call this guy to refresh everything for us. So calling this guy to just after 3 seconds it will do its magic. So cool. So now I'm going to create a new user by using this guy's referral code. Okay, so I'm going to come here, want to join. This is going to be a new user, right? Okay, bring up the keyboard. This is going to be t@t.com. Remember, when you're doing something like referrals, you need to make sure that you're actually using validating users' email or whatever you're using. So make sure that they're properly validated so that users will not end up using multiple email address. So let's register a new user, and it's going to take us to the ref code. And if you go here and refresh, you're going to see a new user has been created. You can see t@t with a different ref code. So for this guy now, if you try a ref code that does not exist, it shows us that error. So I'm going to copy this guy's ref code and come in here and paste it. Okay, so let's see what happens. It's going to check out, and yeah, it has gone in because that user exists. So you can see his earning is 0. So if we refresh this guy now, the earning has been increased to 500 naira, and you can see the referral code, and you can see the referrals. This guy that was referred has been added here. So if we go back to check this user's collection, you can see so far there will be 2 users here, and this is the first user that we created. You can see the referral earnings have been increased to 500, and the referrals has been increased as well. So this other guy has nothing, so he just referred someone else. So let's test it one last time by creating another user that does not exist in the system. So what we are going to do now is to create D. This is another user at d.com. And we are going to use 1 to 6 as well. So for this, I still want to use the same user. So let's see if it's going to top to 1,000 because we're adding a new referral. So I'm going to use this other guy now to test. Yeah, and continue. Right, we have signed up successfully. Refresh, 2 users added, 1,000 naira topped up for this guy because he has referred 2 users, and you can see the count is also increasing. Sweet. So let's update this. Okay, you can see 2 referrals showing 1,000 naira, and these other guys have not referred anybody so far. So guys, this is actually how it works. A referral system is a cool one. This is not really like a pro version of it. It's more like, giving us an idea of how it works. Okay, so thank you so much guys for actually watching. I really appreciate your time, and do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to share this video if you love it. If there's any other thing you feel that I missed out or that I didn't do properly, please let me know in the comment section. And if there's another one too you want me to work on, maybe to build on later, just let me know. Then I'll do my best to create a tutorial around that. This project is going to be available on GitHub for you all to use. So I'm going to be pushing it to GitHub right now for everybody to use and work with it. Thank you so much guys for watching. I appreciate your time. I know this video is so long it has really taken a lot of our time, but so far thank you so much for watching. I appreciate. See you all in the next video.